Good day, I am Shannon Benji Diparan, and in this video, I will be defending the exercise prescription that I have designed for my trainee. Before I begin discussing or defending the exercise prescription that I have designed for my trainee, I want to mention first that my trainee, Gladys May Dipaz, is currently 48 years old and she has an asthma. To start, I will first be defending the cardiovascular conditioning prescription that I made for my trainee. So the date of first day of training for the cardiovascular conditioning prescription is on February 20, 2023. And the initial prescription or number of progression is first. Next is the frequency. So the advisable days of exercise for asthmatics is to exercise every day of the week. Since the trainee is not physically fit yet, I will give her a leeway of 2 days to rest and designate the 3 days of the week for cardio, while the remaining 2 days are for muscle strengthening. I designated 3 days for the cardio as she is an asthmatic, and it is advisable for asthmatics to focus on exercises that can help improve their overall lung health and capacity. Therefore, there are more days spent for cardiovascular conditioning in comparison to the muscle resistance training. So for the cardiovascular conditioning, it will be thrice a week, whereas for the muscle resistance training, it will only be twice a week. Next is the intensity. I chose moderate intensity because it is advisable for asthmatics to engage with light to moderate intensity exercises. The reason I chose moderate for the intensity instead of just light intensity is because I believe with the current physical ability and health of my trainee, a moderate intensity is more beneficial for her because this allows her to get more exercise at a pace where she feels most comfortable and safe with. Next are resting heart rate reserve, target heart rate at high interval, heart rate at low interval, and Borg rate of perceived exertion. These I will just be discussing briefly, since these are just measurements and estimations. So for the resting heart rate, I measured her heart rate I measured her heart rate when she woke up in the morning, and the measured heart rate was 70 beats per minute. Next is the heart rate reserve. Since the intensity that I chose for my trainee is moderate, therefore the range of heart rate reserve should be 64% to 76%. But because my trainee again has comorbidity, which is asthma, she might not be able to get the heart rate reserve and the maximum heart rate reserve for a moderate intensity exercise. So in estimation, I decided that the heart rate reserve, I estimated that the heart rate reserve will only be 64%. Next is the target heart rate. I just used the given formula for this to determine the target heart rate. So it's 220 minus my trainee's age 48 minus her resting heart rate 70 times 0.64%, which is the heart rate reserve of my trainee, plus again her resting heart rate, equals 135 beats per minute. This 135 beats per minute is also her heart rate at high interval. Next is the heart rate at low interval. The heart rate at low interval also has its own solution. So it's 220 minus my trainee's age 48 minus her resting heart rate 70 times the half of the heart rate reserve, which is 0.32, plus her resting heart rate again 70, equals 102 beats per minute. Next is the Borg rate of perceived exertion. So since the intensity of my trainees exercise would be moderate, but the type of exercise I have in mind is walking. It will be pretty simple, but because of the comorbidity that my trainee has and her very poor cardiovascular endurance, the estimated work rate of perceived exertion for this cardiovascular conditioning prescription would be 4. Next is the time. So the recommended duration of exercise for people with asthma who are not physically fit is only 20 to 30 minutes per day. As I am aware that my trainee is definitely not physically fit, and this will be her first cardiovascular conditioning exercise program, I decided to keep her exercise duration within the 20 to 30 minutes range. 20 minutes for stimulus or conditioning, 5 minutes for warm up, and 3 minutes for cool down. Next is the number of cycles. Since the type of exercise I find the most suitable for my trainee's physical ability and health is moderate intensity continuous exercise, her exercise will only have 1 cycle. Increasing the cycle will only strain the my trainee physically, especially her lungs, which I don't want to happen because it could cause her physical health. Next is the type of exercise. The type of exercise I chose for my trainee is MICE by walking, MICE or MICE, or moderate intensity continuous exercise, because as I have explained a while ago, with the current physical ability and health of my trainee, moderate intensity exercise is suitable and beneficial for her, as it allows her to get more exercise at a pace where she is comfortable and safe. I chose walking because, based from her fitness assessment, and as I have mentioned a while ago, she has a very poor cardiovascular endurance. Therefore, the most suitable and accessible cardio exercise for her as of now is walking. What you can see here is the graph for the moderate intensity continuous exercise, the type or intensity of exercise that I chose for my trainee. As you can see on the graph, she has 5 minutes for her warm up, 20 minutes for the walking, and 3 minutes for the cool down. There are no breaks in between the conditioning, but although there are no breaks in between the conditioning, I find this type or intensity of exercise um, advantageous for my trainee because she has more control of her pacing and of the exercise. So if she is tired, she can slow down. But if she has more energy, then she can pace up. Um, with this type or intensity, she can get more exercise. Plus, she can control her pace as well. Now I will be moving on to defending the muscular resistance training prescription that I made for my training. So the date of first day of training for the muscular resistance training is on February 21, 2023, just a day after the first day of the cardiovascular conditioning. So its initial prescription or number of progression is similar with the cardiovascular conditioning, which is first. Next is the training age. So as I have mentioned earlier, my trainee is currently 48 years old. Her goal, based on the previous interviews I have conducted with my trainee, she has made it clear to me that she wants to have a better body figure, which involves improving her body composition and body mass index. Next is the volume. I chose moderate volume for her exercises because her goal, as mentioned before, is to have a better body figure. With moderate volume exercises, she can lose unnecessary fat from her body and gain muscle mass that will make her body be physically fit. Next is the frequency. So, I designated only 2 days of muscle resistance training, 2 days of the week for muscle resistance training for my training. Although her main goal in mind is to have a better body figure, her cardiovascular exercise and recovery time should not be compromised. As she is an asthmatic, it is best for her to focus on improving her lung health and capacity so that she can engage in more activities that can help her become physically fit. And as someone who is currently not physically fit, she should also have at least 2 days to rest and recover from the exercises. Next is the session or duration. As I have mentioned earlier, during the cardiovascular conditioning defense, the advisable duration for asthmatics who are not physically fit is only 20 to 30 minutes per day. Hence, the estimated duration for each day designated for muscle resistance training would only be 30 minutes including warm-up and cool-down, totaling to 60 minutes of muscle resistance training per week. Now, moving on to the components of her muscle resistance training, starting with the warm-up stretch. So the warm-up stretch that I designed for the trainee are stretches that will prep the different muscles that she will be using during the exercise. So tricep stretch, it is to prep the triceps for the wall push-ups she will be doing. Supine stretch, to prep the abdominal muscles for the crunches and ab gliders. Hip flexor stretch, to prep the quads and knees for the squats. I decided that each warm-up stretching will have 2 sets to make sure that every muscle group are well prepped for the exercise and to avoid possible strains or injuries. Since the warm-up is in a form of stretching, the warm-up stretch, each warm-up stretch will only have 1 rep. Next is the exercise proper. So the exercise proper consists of 4 different exercises targeting muscles from the upper body all throughout the lower body to make sure that every part of her body is equally strong and fit. I have limited the types of exercises to 4 as the trainee is not physically fit and active and is already in the age where some muscles and joints need more time to adjust to properly do exercises. So for the first exercise, it will be wall push-ups, starting with the arms. So this exercise will tone down the arms of the trainee with less difficulty in comparison to regular push-ups. Next is the abdomen. So the trainee will be having crunches. This will help the trainee strengthen and gain abdominal muscles, especially the rectus abdominis, and lose excess fat around the abdominal area. Next is the ab gliders. Considering that the current figure of the trainee show more excess fat around her abdominal area, I added another abdominal exercise in her strengthening program. This exercise, with the help of a workout machine, targets the upper, middle, and lower abs, which is great to help shape up the trainee's abdominal muscles. So for the last part of her exercise proper, the trainee will be exercising her legs. And the exercise that I chose for her legs is squats. So looking at the trainee's body figure and basing on the girth measurement that I took of her, she has more excess fat around her thighs than her calf. Therefore, I want to focus first on toning down her thighs through squats. Squats will get rid of the excess fat around her thighs and build stronger quad muscles. This exercise also trains the knees to be more nimble. Each exercise from the muscle resistance training prescription has 10 reps and 3 sets. Since this will be the trainee's first muscle resistance training program after a while, I want to start easy for her, but not easy enough that there will be only zero to little improvement in the long run. Each exercise has a designated 1-minute rest so that the trainee, as an asthmatic, can have enough time to recover and catch her breath, but not to the point that her muscles will start to cool down before the exercise is finished. The load on RPE in this table was measured after observing the trainee execute each exercise. Lastly, the cool down stretch. So the cool down stretch is designed to ease up the tension in the muscles used during the exercise. So again, the trainee will be doing tricep stretch to ease up the triceps, snake stretch to stretch and ease up the abdominal muscles. Lastly, kneeling quad stretch to ease up the quadriceps. Each cool down stretching has 2 sets to ensure that the trainee will not suffer too much muscle pain the day after. Similar to the warm-up, the cool down is in a form of stretching, therefore it will only have 1 rep. That is all for my defense. Thanks for watching.